Welcome back to the While We Wait podcast, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy. My name is Winter and I am your host. I have been abstaining from sex for 3 years and yes, I am waiting for marriage. Season 2 is now sponsored by, and yes, that's the entire season. Season 2 is now sponsored by Shiriko. Shiriko is a Black woman-owned soy wax-based candle and more company. They are based in the Bay Area, California. You can find out more about Shiriko by visiting www.shopsharico.com. That's www.shopsharico.com. I'm super excited for season 2. We're bringing you guests, we're bringing you games, we're bringing you fun, we're bringing you super exciting conversations, we're bringing you music, we're bringing you a lot more this season, and it's all thanks to our sponsor, Shiriko. Once again, this entire season of While We Wait, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy, is brought to you by Shiriko, a Black woman-owned soy wax-based candle company based out of the Bay Area, California. And not only do they make soy wax candles, they make reed diffusers, linen sprays, body products, shower products, and more. It's self-care in a luxe way. Welcome back to While We Wait, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy. I'm your host, Winter. This week's episode, first of all, wait a minute. Before I even do that whole intro, welcome to season 2, y'all. We made it to a whole second season. Ain't that beautiful? That's an amazing thing. So season 1 was only 7 episodes long, and season 2 is going to be about 15 episodes long. I'm really excited. I started producing season 2 in the midst of recording and producing and editing season 1. So I'm very proud of myself. Congratulations to me. Good job to me. I'm very proud of myself for staying dedicated and committed to the podcast, because it really is very important to me to get these messages out there. I feel that they are important. I believe that people like myself need to be having these conversations in more of a public forum. So welcome to season 2, episode 1. This episode is going to be all about tantric sex and tantra, the practice of tantra and tantric sex. You can say tantric sex, you can say tantric sex, however you pronounce the word, that is okay. We all have accents. I'm from up north, so I probably pronounce it differently than someone from down south or someone who is maybe actually Indian. Things like that, or someone who, can actually pronounce the word correctly. But at the end of the day, words are words, okay? All right? The way we all say things is going to be different, and that's all right. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I'm going to explain it in this episode, and it'll be in the show notes for you to do, your own research, and you can decide how you want to pronounce the word. Okay, great. So this episode is going to be all about tantra, tantric sex, the practice of it, and why it is so important to me in my journey of abstaining from sex until marriage. So I've just said a lot of words that I know most people probably don't know what those words mean. So I am extremely grateful that all of your choices up to this very moment have led you to this podcast episode, so you can come and receive this abundance and this message of tantric sex. And please know that I am absolutely not an expert on the practice at all. I'm a 23-year-old Black woman living up north. I'm not an expert on it, but I do read on it. I do research it. I do practice it in my own life. And it is something that I would like to be much more well-versed in. And through this episode, I am becoming more knowledgeable about what it is, and I even found better practices for myself through research I did for the episode, because I wanted to make sure that I was bringing you guys useful information and very clear information. I just wanted it to be easy to understand. I'll include my references in the show notes as well, so you can go see where I was pulling from. That helped me get my thoughts out to you all in a more, like clear and concise way. Because sometimes, the way that you understand something and how you'll explain it to yourself is different from how you need to be explaining it to people who are listening to you. So that's where I'm going with this. So let's just honestly get right into the topic, honey boo-boos. Okay, so what is tantric sex? Like, what is that about? If you're abstinent, how are you practicing something with the word sex in it? If you're abstaining from sex, why are you having sex? Well, here's the thing. Tantric sex has everything and nothing to do with the actual activity of sex. So let me back it up for you here. Tantric sex actually originates from ancient Hinduism, and it revolves around sexual practices that focus on creating a deep and intimate connection. Sex is in the mind before it is anywhere else. At the end of the day, your brain is communicating things to your body to help you have sensations. So although tantric sex is basically synonymous with the word sex, it's tantric sex, people think that the focus of it is on the body. It's absolutely not. The focus is actually in the mind and of the thoughts. It's about a connection. So whether that connection is with yourself or with a partner, the point of tantric sex is to be better connected to your spirit when it comes to sexual arousal. Put it that way. The very word itself, tantric, is derived from ancient Sanskrit, which means web or to weave energy. So, even though genitals are a key part of sex, the pleasurable sensations involve many parts of the body, not just your genitals. And so pleasurable sex heavily depends on the brain, which releases hormones that support sexual pleasure and interprets stimulation as pleasurable. Like I was saying earlier, sex begins in the mind before it starts anywhere else. And that is what tantric sex is focusing on. In practice, what it's about is your enlightenment, right? You're to transcend both the sexual and spiritual planes by engaging in deeply meditative, spontaneous, and intimate sex. But again, don't focus on the genitalia and the actual act of penetrative sex, or just don't worry about your genitals being involved. Think about your brain. So you can also think about it like yoga. The practices and the philosophies are very similar. So like yoga, tantra is all about the physical and spiritual awareness. Tantric sex is slow. It's a meditative form of sex where the end goal is not orgasm, but enjoying the sexual journey and sensations of the body. It aims to move sexual energy throughout the body from healing, transformation, and enlightenment. So the more knowledge, okay, that's why you're here, the more knowledge someone has on the topic of tantric sex, the more they are likely to feel prepared when they want to practice it and engage in it. Tantric sex is about moving slowly and being in the moment. And sometimes it can last for an hour or more. So when you are thinking about wanting to engage in this practice with yourself or with a partner, be sure that you set aside time to fully engage and enjoy the experience. Now, a reason why this is so important to me on my abstinence journey and abstaining from sex until marriage is because what it is focusing on is understanding your sexual energy and knowing where to transmute that and how you can experience and achieve orgasm without having to focus on your body, without making it all about your genitalia and what those sensations are like. Because as we grow and gain more wisdom, you go from 23 to 43 to 53 to 73 to 83 to 93 to 103. Your body is very different through all those phases, but your mind, through proper training and reinforcement and study, it becomes much more enlightened. And what you can do with that now enlightened mind state is you can continue to have these experiences of basically like orgasm and nirvana through thought, right? It is slow. It is meditative. You are focusing on the spirit of sex rather than focusing on the physicality, the activity of sex. And I hope this is making sense. So in 1960, right, these sex researchers, what's their names? William Masters and Virginia Johnson identified 4 distinct phases of sexual arousal, right? So each has its own unique effect on the body. So let me break down what these 4 distinct phases are. 1 is desire or excitement, right? So this is like the first phase you go through in sexual arousal. During the desire phase, the tissue in the penis and the vagina. And before I begin, let me state that I am a cisgendered Black woman. And so much of the language that is going to be used here might be, what is the word I'm looking for? It might be quite heteronormative and cisgendered focused, but please understand that these are the materials that I was working with through my research. And what I'm hoping to do is expand your thought on this practice. And please absolutely challenge me and elevate my thought in that. But I just want to put that out there so you understand why the language is centered in what it is. So the first stage, right? Or the first phase, desire or excitement. During the desire phase, again, the tissue in the penis or the vagina, the pelvis, the vulva, and the clitoris fill with blood. This increases the sensitivity of nerves in these areas of the body. The blood there flows and also creates a fluid called transudate, which lubricates, the vagine. Muscles throughout the body begin contracting. Now, some people start to breathe more rapidly. Their skin gets flushed. We all know what it's like when basically you're feeling like the excitement of the arousal. Then there is a plateau, right? So this is stage 2. So during the plateau stage, a person's arousal continues to intensify. The vagina, the penis, and the clitoris become much more sensitive. And a person may experience variations in sensitivity or arousal during this period. Arousal and interest may decrease, intensify, then decrease again. So that's why it's a plateau, right? It goes up, down, and then it will even out. So this is on stage 2. Now stage 3 or phase 3 is orgasm. With the right combination, the right stimulation, and the right mental state, a person may have an orgasm. So for most females, clitoral stimulation is the fastest, most effective path to orgasm. For some, it is the only path to orgasm. I would argue that probably for most female-oriented people who female-oriented people, or people with vaginas, clitoral stimulation is usually going to be like the best thing for us. For some, it's the only path to orgasm. Males or people with penises may need prolonged stimulation of the shaft or head of the penis. So I don't have to tell you guys, how orgasms, happen or what happens during that time, but both sets of genitalia, people with vaginas, people with penises usually will ejaculate in some sort of way when they reach that state. Now, the 4th phase is resolution. So after the orgasm, the muscles relax, the body slowly returns to its pre-arousal state. And so that process is different, obviously, between males and females, people with vaginas, people with penises. Now, most males, people with penises, cannot have an orgasm immediately after ejaculating. Most females and people with vaginas can. During the resolution stage, most males, people with penises, and most females, people with vaginas, experience a refractory period. And during this time, the person is not going to respond to sexual stimulation. Basically, it means after you have your orgasm, do not touch me. It's not going to feel good. It's going to feel very sensitive. It might be too many sensations at one time. So now that we understand that there are 4 phases that are happening, right? Just like throughout our body when we are in the activity of sex, and that's 4 phases. These are all happening almost simultaneously, but right at their very different distinct times. That helps us better understand how big of a role the mind plays in sex. Because in order for sex to feel pleasurable, the brain, I'm sorry, I have a lot of information like in my mind and I'm trying to get it out like succinctly. So for sex to feel pleasurable, the brain has to interpret sexual sensations as pleasurable. And there are nerves in sexual areas of the body that send specific signals to the brain, and then the brain uses those signals to create various sexual sensations. So there are neurotransmitters that are basically, chemical messengers that help your brain communicate with other areas of your body. This is getting very geeky, but this is the shit I like. And this is why you click on this podcast episode, because you want to learn. So there are several neurotransmitters that have a role in sexual pleasure. And I'm going to go through them for you right now. So there is prolactin, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, and norepinephrine. Now, I think about 3 of those most people are familiar with, or they've heard of them and have some idea, like oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin. Most people are like, oh, I've heard that before, but they don't really know what those neurotransmitters are responsible for in the body. So prolactin, here's what's happening in your body, right, when you're experiencing orgasm or just during sex. So prolactin levels will rise immediately following the orgasm, and that hormone might be related to reduced sexual response, which may explain the refractory period. So basically, when you're coming down in the resolution phase of sex, the prolactin levels are rising immediately, and it's believed that that hormone is probably related to reduced sexual response. Dopamine is a hormone linked with motivation and reward. So it's increased during sexual arousal and the body secretes it during the desire stage. So literally that first stage of sex, your body is secreting dopamine. It's like when they say, like pheromones and shit, basically dopamine is the pheromone, right? It's the hormone that your body is putting out during that excitement stage. It's your body is secreting this thing and saying, ooh, yes, more of this, more of this, more of this. I like it, because it's communicating either to you or the other person or people's involved that you are excited for what's happening. You like what's happening. Your body is preparing to invite more of what's happening. Now your body releases serotonin. Hold on. I skipped one. Yeah. So after dopamine comes your oxytocin. So oxytocin, which is also known as the love or bonding hormone, promotes feelings of intimacy and closeness. So the body releases it after orgasm. So basically oxytocin is responsible for making you feel all, cuddly and gushy and soft after sex. And after you have an orgasm, it makes you want to be, it makes you want to feel held. And we associate this hormone with love. Like when they're looking at your brain, they're looking at love. They also see that this hormone is being given off a lot. Now your body releases serotonin, which supports feelings of well-being and happiness during the arousal phase. And norepinephrine dilates and constricts blood vessels. So this is what's responsible for making your genitals more sensitive during all of these phases, but most importantly, the sexual stimulation phase. And All of this that I just said is why I believe it's important to study, practice, and respect Tantra and Tantric sex, because when you learn to practice Tantra, you become more in tune with your body, what gives it pleasure, and the way it feels pleasure. This will allow you to pay better attention to your body, like what your body wants, what it needs, what it's hoping for, right? What it is expecting during these moments. And then you are better at fulfilling those needs and making sure that they get fulfilled, because you've done the practice, you've done the research, and now you are applying it to your life. So when you're preparing to engage in or practice tantric sex alone or with a partner, it's very, very good. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really, really good for you to set aside some time and find a comfortable environment, because this is not something, don't think of it as a masturbation sort of thing or a partner masturbation sort of thing. That is not what it is. So you want to have a comfortable environment, because you may be in this environment for a very long period of time. And what this can do is it'll help you focus fully on the experience, because you want this space to feel safe, so you will let go. If you're in a space that you feel that you have to perform in, it's going to be really difficult for you to engage in tantric sex. So if you're doing it by yourself, make sure you spruce up your space. Like make it calming, make it warm, making it inviting, make it a safe space. The same goes if you're doing this with a partner. Make the space feel very safe. Make sure you don't feel that you have to perform in this space, because tantric sex is not a performative activity. It is a very real and raw activity. You are going to be dealing with your emotions, not just your arousal and your pleasure your pleasure neurotransmitters. No, you're going to be dealing with your emotions and your feelings. So you need to be in a safe, comfortable space. Okay? Because here's the thing. When people hear about tantric sex, I feel like go to this space where they think it's very woo-woo, and it's like you gotta be om and like chanting and doing things like that. And that's not it. It's just that you're going deep within yourself, so your outward expression is more honest. That is what it is to me at its core. Breathing, okay? Breathing is a key component for tantric sex, because it helps you focus your mind and be in tune with your body. So when you're doing it with a partner, a really great thing to do are breathing exercises with each other, right? Before you even dip your toe in tantric sex, just start doing breathing exercise with each other. Learn each other's breath, do breath work, okay? Figure out why and how this person breathes the way they do. Notice their breathing patterns when they're excited. Notice their breathing patterns when they are frustrated. Notice their breathing patterns when they are disappointed. Do that breath work so you can be more in tune with your body and your partner's body, and how your body responds to their body with just breath work. Because what you are trying to do here and what you are going to achieve is a higher connection in your intimacy, because it isn't only focused, tantric sex that is, isn't only focused on reaching a higher state of mind and body consciousness. It's also about creating a deeper and more harmonious bond with your partner. I want you to really focus on that, so I'm going to repeat it again. Tantra isn't only focused on reaching a higher state of mind, body consciousness. It can also be about, and it is about, creating a deeper and more harmonious bond with your partner. So when you practice Tantra, you and your partner are learning how to be physically aware and spiritually present. That's the key one here, spiritually present. Okay, about feeding each other's energy. And then in return, what happens is you guys learn how to feed each other's energy, so you can start feeding each other energy that continues to grow well after you finish having sex. You understand me? This energy is meant to last and exist well after you actually do the do, because it's spiritual, it is elevated, it is out of your body and in your body, it is of your spirit. That is what it is. It's a physical, spiritual practice, a deeply spiritual practice, which again means your mind comes into play as much as your body. When you're practicing Tantra, you're connecting your body, mind, and soul. So a clear mindset and willingness to step out of your comfort zone are more important, okay, to uniting these parts of yourself. You have to be willing to go outside of yourself. You have to be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable. At first, it might seem a little weird just to like sit across from your partner and just be looking into each other's eyes and breathing, not touching each other, not trying to get each other aroused, but just breathing, right? Just mirroring each other's breaths, just holding each other's hands and breathing deeply, counting aloud, speaking affirmations onto yourselves, and seeing how your bodies respond to each other just doing that. And then pinpointing the moment where arousal comes into play and examining that, figuring out, okay, boom, at this moment, arousal has started to come into play. Why? Let's explore that. Let's expand on that so we can have more moments like this that don't have to be directly related to like having to actually physically have sex with each other. How can we make each other feel those very feelings in our minds, just with our minds? Okay, and transmute that energy. How can we do that with each other in a partnership, in our union? So that was just a, brief little overview, but we are not done. I am getting deep into this because I am very passionate about it, if you couldn't tell. So let's talk about that breathing. Let's talk about that breath work. Let's talk about that meditation. I would say about 10 to 15 minutes in meditation can help you, prepare your mind for the practice, and it allows you to go inward and examine your thoughts. Like I said, you're dealing with your feelings. You're dealing with your thoughts. You're dealing with figuring out why certain things arouse you, where that comes from, and what that means for you. And the same thing for your partner. They're doing it for you and for themselves. You're doing it for each other and with each other, for each other. And that was beautiful. So focus on your breath work. You want to be breathing gently. You want to go all the way down into your belly, into your lower back. And you want to get in touch with what's going on with your mind. Okay? Whether it is anxiety or sadness or anger or frustration or fulfilling your desires. So that doesn't mean that it has to be the perfect day to do this. No, if you're frustrated after work, boom, let's do breath work together. Let's sit down. Let's sit across from each other. Let's look at each other, or let's close our eyes, whatever makes us feel comfortable, and let's breathe together. Let's breathe together. Let's communicate to each other through breath. Don't talk. Don't use words. Just communicate to each other through breath. You can even stretch. Stretch by yourself, but stretch each limb. Go finger to finger, pinky, stretch every limb, every finger. Clear your mind of any negative thoughts that are weighing you down, because the more you unpack, the lighter you become. And that's all tantric sex is about. It's about becoming light as a feather. You just want to be flowing with your sexual energy. You want to be able to transmute that energy anywhere. You want to be able to just let that energy flow and course throughout your body. And you don't want it to be weighing you down. As someone who was abstaining from sex and has been abstaining from sex for 3 years now, I need my energy to be flowing throughout me. I don't need my energy to be frustrating me. I don't need my energy to be angering me. I also don't need my energy to be tempting me. I just need my energy to be effortlessly flowing throughout me so I can transmute it to other places and do other things until it can be expressed in a different way with a partner. I also journal a lot. I spend about 30, 45 minutes journaling. Journaling also helps me just kind of center and focus myself in the practice of tantric sex, because you can be journaling in that mind state, right? You can be journaling during arousal. I would highly suggest journaling during arousal. Like, if you realize that you are feeling aroused, but you're not about to engage in masturbation. I do not engage in masturbation. You'll be amazed at what you write down and what it reveals about you during these moments. we're going to take a quick break because I need me some sips of water, and y'all need to hear what's coming up. Hey listeners, I'm just checking in to make sure that you're enjoying today's video. Make sure that you are following the podcast on Instagram @_while we wait. Make sure you are leaving comments, liking pictures, and letting us know the topics that you're interested in hearing. We are so excited to be, moving forward with seasons 2. And yes, sweetie, season 3. We are confirmed for a 3rd season, lined up interviews and all. Many more solo episodes to come. I'm just super, super, super excited that you're on this journey with me. Let's get it. Okay, back to the episode now. And we are back from our break. So we left off talking about breath work and meditation. So like I was saying, meditation again is a really great way to free yourself from everything that's holding you back. Because here's the thing. Sometimes when we're feeling our very strong feelings, we let those energies just flow out of us with no direction. So they go everywhere. And when they go everywhere, sometimes people become targets unnecessarily so, and that's not fair to yourself or to the people around you. And so when you meditate, you're grounding yourself. So as you're meditating, I want you to let your energy flow downward into the earth. Let that energy build and spread throughout your body and give you strength, right? So use your frustration as roots. Let your frustration ground you. Be rooted in it, okay? Let it build you a solid foundation, because you know that frustration is under you. It's beneath you. You've planted it. You can stand on top of it firmly. Plant it. Because although this exists within me, I don't have to use that energy for things that are negative or things that have no benefit to me. But what I can do is I can use it as roots to help me stand up stronger and taller and more confident, because I know how to deal with those emotions once I identify them. You can also try like a self-massage, right? Self-massaging is really good. That's a full body experience. Get yourself your little favorite oil. I recommend picking up an oil from Shiriko because it has squalene in it, and it like mimics your body's natural oil secretions. So get your favorite oil and your lotions, pour it all over your skin, let you, rub yourself down, and spend time massaging your belly. Spend time massaging your throat chakras. I like to massage my throat a lot, especially when I'm feeling frustrated or angry. I like to massage my throat because it helps me work out those frustrations. We don't realize that we are holding all of our emotions in our vessel, in our body. So when you're not saying what you need to say, you're literally like straining your throat. When you're not saying what you need to say, you are causing frustration to your throat. So you have to massage it out of your throat, and eventually it's going to come up and you're going to say what you have to say. At least that's my mindset. That's my theory. And that's what I do, and that's what I practice. Massage your inner thighs, your arms, your neck, your chest. Just give yourself a nice rub down in a meditative state. And also, masturbation. Solo play, it doesn't always have to be about achieving orgasm. Sex in general does not always need to be about achieving orgasm. We need to remember that sex is a highly spiritual activity, whether it's with a partner or with yourself. So orgasm doesn't have to be what you are trying to get to every single time. Sometimes you might just be trying to get to a enlightened state of mind. Sometimes you might just be trying to relax your body or find comfort. You don't have to have an orgasm. Sometimes making orgasm the focus makes it like far less enjoyable. That's for me, and what I think and believe for other people. I think it makes it like less enjoyable. Like, just have sex, like just let your body experience things. If your body experiences an orgasm, beautiful. If it doesn't, that's still beautiful. Let your body just experience things. Soften the way that you play with yourself. Don't make it goal oriented. Let's just why do we put goals and checkpoints on sex? That's not fun. How could that ever be fun? Nothing about that is fun to me. That to me just sounds like work. And that if anything is not supposed to be work, it definitely sucks. I'll tell you that. I've said a lot. And I haven't even said it all, but I've said a lot. So I want to go back to breath work because I think it's extremely important. You have to be breathing deeply. You have to be breathing slowly. I've said the words slowly, slow, and meditative. I've said those words a lot because that is the key here. Like, that's the magic ticket. If you take anything away from today's episode, it's that you need to move slowly, you need to move with intention, and you need to be breathing deeply, and you need to be focusing on your breaths, focusing on how your breath is in certain moments, and not exactly trying to recreate the moment, but understanding. I don't really know how else to say it other than just understanding your breath in that moment. And you want to be present. Please allow yourself to be present when you're practicing tantric sex. Like, don't worry about what happens. Like, don't worry about if you're orgasming or if you're doing it right. You're not doing it wrong. Let me put it that way. Whenever you decide to start engaging in the activity, engaging in the practice, trust me, you're not doing it wrong. You're always going to be evolving your practice. That's why it is a practice. So you want to allow yourself to experience a full range of emotions, because this is going to help you enable it. Let me rephrase. Let me choose better words. This is going to help you fully tap into your energy and power. See how I shifted my language? Because I wanted to make sure I'm empowering you all. So yes, allowing yourself to fully experience a full range of emotions while you're in your meditative state is going to allow you to fully tap into your energy and power. Set an intention for your practice. So know what you want to get out of your tantra section, right? And whether it's to have a better orgasm or just to feel more comfortable in your skin. Like, sometimes during the practice, like I said, it's not about achieving orgasm. Sometimes it's like, I want to like my belly more. I want to be more comfortable with my back fat, or I want to be more comfortable with one boob being larger than the other. That's a common thing for people with breasts. Breasts are usually not symmetrical. One's usually larger than the other, or one's higher than the other, whatever, right? So your session can just be about becoming more comfortable with that. So maybe you focus, when you're doing your self-massage, you're focusing on massaging your breasts more because you're focusing on being more comfortable with how they are existing on your body. And you spiritually want to become connected to them because they are yours, right? And they're on you. And if you enjoy them, you can understand that both things can be true. You can enjoy your breasts, but be uncomfortable with the fact that one is larger than the other. So that's what your session can be about. That's why there's this emphasis on allowing yourself to experience a full range of emotions, because every tantra session, like every tantric sex or tantric sex, however you want to say it, session, like I said, is not about achieving orgasm. It's not even about like sex in the way that we've understood it. It can really just be about, I'm trying to become more comfortable with my arms. Like, literally, it can be that. I'm trying to become more comfortable with my hips. I'm trying to become more comfortable with my feet. I'm trying to become more comfortable with my hands. But maybe during the activity of sex, and then you go from there, because sex is completely optional in this practice. The thing about it is, what you're focusing on is the build up to sex, really. So you can build up to sex or not, because Tantra is more about the connection to oneself, or your connection in partnership, more than it is anything else. So if you choose to have sex, again, go slowly and don't be afraid to get, creative. Try you some positions, okay? Word to the Kama Sutra, touch each other in new ways, and explore those unearthed desires, those things that came to your mind during your breathwork session as a couple, as a partnership. And most of all, immerse yourself fully in the experience by letting the tension build as you spend time on one sexual practice before moving on to the next. So one sexual practice can be kissing. You and your partner can just be focusing on kissing each other. and kissing each other on certain places. You can have a day dedicated to kissing each other's necks and focusing on that breathing and focusing on what part of your neck experiences the most arousal, the least arousal, different kinds of arousal. You might notice one part of your neck really helps stimulate your breast. Like you notice, okay, on the left side of my neck, lower and closer to my collarbone, when I'm being kissed here, I have these sensations in my breast. But on the right side of my neck, when I'm being kissed closer to my jawline, I have sensations from my clitoris. But when I'm kissed on the back of my neck, the sensation exists all in my spine. Interesting. You are basically becoming hyper-focused and hyper-aware about your arousal state. That's what's so beautiful about the practice. It's asking you to focus. It's asking you to slow down. It's asking you to breathe. It's asking you to actually learn about yourself and about your partner. Okay? That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And one thing that has helped me in this practice is my shock rub. This is not a sponsorship, by the way, because I know I just went into that, but that was just a nice transition, okay? Real recognize real. Just acknowledge that was a smooth ass transition. So I have a shock rub. Let me explain shock rubs, because when I first got into them, people were like, you putting crystals in your coochie? Explain. I'm like, okay, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you what a shock rub is. So a shock rub is, yes, it's a crystal sex toy. So shock rubs are sex toys made from natural crystals that basically they bring you a sense of like sacredness to your playtime. They're beautiful. When I say they're beautiful, I mean they are beautiful. They're handcrafted tools and they're created with the intention. We're bringing that word back, right? Intention. They are created with the intention of opening oneself up to healing properties that crystals provide. So I just want to repeat all of that information for you again. Shock rubs are sex toys made from natural crystals that bring a sense of sacredness to your playtime. They're beautiful, handcrafted tools that are created with the intention of opening oneself up to healing properties that crystals provide. Crystals have the perfect molecular structure that have positive effects on our electromagnetic fields because we are electric beings. When our energetic bodies are at ease, we are at ease. We are opening up to healing, to peace, to love, to all of life's pleasures. So chakra, the word, derives from chakra. Again, another Sanskrit word. It's a Sanskrit word describing energy wheels. Shock rubs urge you to feel deeply, passionately, subtly. Okay? Subtly. So with your shock rubs, what you can do is you can create an intentional practice that not only gets you off, but it turns you on in a way which will remain turned on and awakened with a renewed sense of self-awareness and wisdom. And just a renewed sense of self, period. You're just going to think about yourself differently. The one that I invested in is the heart. So it's from their original collection. I've had mine, oh man, who knows, 4 years now, maybe? Yeah. So the heart, oh no, it has been, well, I have had it for 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. So the heart is from their original line. It's sculpted from pure rose quartz. So that's the crystal of unconditional love. And it's a really gentle stone. It speaks directly to your heart chakra and it helps to dissolve emotional wounds and provide a circulation of divine loving energy throughout the entire aura. So by reawakening the heart to its own innate love, the user feels a deep sense of personal fulfillment and contentment, allowing them the capacity to truly give and receive from others. So what is the heart associated with? The heart, or the rose quartz, is associated with revealing the beauty in yourself and your self-confidence, teaching you the true essence of love, attracting it in all forms. So that means self-love, erotic love, romantic love, platonic love, fostering a generous outlook that enhances feelings of compassion and forgiveness, providing comfort to those who are grieving or in pain, stimulating sensual imagination, healing internal childhood wounds, and reprogramming the heart to receive love, balancing that yin and yang energy, releasing blockages in the heart chakra, stimulating the root chakra to rejuvenate the physical body, dissolving anger, resentment, fear, and suspicion. So I was drawn to shock rubs because of, what did I see? I think I saw a YouTube video. Yeah, I saw a YouTube video about healing, just healing yourself using crystals through the practice of masturbation. So when I used to engage in masturbation, I knew that I didn't want to use silicone products. First of all, I used to work in a sex store. Silicone products, as beautiful and flesh-like as they may be, they're not difficult to clean, but you need to make sure that you are cleaning them expertly. And most people do not want to invest in proper toy cleaner. Now, as someone who worked in a sex store, I was always using like the best materials and things and cleansers on my products, but I just didn't want to like be using those products anymore, and so I wasn't really sure like what to turn to. I just wasn't interested in what was being offered on the market. But I was introduced to shock rubs watching someone's YouTube video. I wish I could, and this was years ago, so like I really cannot remember who it was, but they were using a shock rub. They were discussing. Now, when I say using, I don't mean but this is YouTube, so they weren't like using it, but they were using it in their practice, and they were discussing why they use a shock rub in their practice and the benefits. And I will say, personally, I flippin' love my shock rub. I sleep with my shock rub. I don't use it for masturbation purposes. I use it just as a crystal, because it is a crystal. It's a very large, heavy crystal. These things are weighty. They're so gorgeous. I mean, when you get one, first of all, it arrives in this beautiful packaging, but when you take it out of its pouch and you hold it, I mean, I'm into crystals, but I mean, you don't have to be into or not into crystals. Science is science, okay? Science is science. And we're electromagnetic beings, so there's that on that. But when you hold one, you do feel empowered, and you do feel that healing energy. So I like to sleep with mine. I like to hold mine while I sleep. I even hold it when I journal. I use it as just a very large rose quartz. That's pretty much it. So you can use it like that, or you can literally use it for your masturbation purposes in your masturbation practice. You can do whatever you want. Maybe one day I'll return to using it for that, but right now I don't. I use my heart shock rub simply as a very large rose quartz, and that's pretty much it. So invest in one. I would highly suggest it. I think they're absolutely worth it. They do cost you a pretty penny. Nothing extravagant though. I mean, well, nothing extravagant to my standard of extravagant spending, which means they are under $500. Like, they're not like $300, $400 things. I'm not talking about that. They're like $100, $150, right? So it costs you a pretty penny, but I'm not asking y'all, I'm not saying spend thousands of dollars on one, because you don't need to. Like at all. Like when you're searching, honestly, just use shock rubs. Don't go to other websites. I would say don't get drawn in by people who are making crystal dildos and whatever, because first of all, you don't know if there's actually 100% crystals. Second of all, the process that crystals have to go to when they're being fashioned into different shapes. One, I want to say shock rubs, they do have shock rubs that are phallic centric, that are shaped like penises. If that's what you're into, that's not how my shock rub is shaped. I wasn't into inviting the figure of the phallus. I didn't want that. I was like, but I think it's because I knew at the time when I was purchasing it, even though I was like, oh, I might use this for masturbation purposes, I still didn't want it to be in the shape of a penis, because I was like, I'm decentralizing the phallus from my sexual practice. So no, my crystal's not about to be in the shape of a penis. I don't want that. So that's that on that. We're going to take another break while I reset, because I have a lot more that I want to say to you all, but I need to get it a little unjumbled. I'm finding myself talking, and the points I'm making are great. Kudos to me. Kudos to you for listening. I love you, first of all. If you're listening and you made it this far, love you. Kisses, smoochy, honey boo boo. But I'm going to take a break. I'm going to give me a sip of water. I'm going to be right back. Hey, listeners. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love candles. The candles that I keep in my room going all the time are from a Black woman-owned soy wax candle company, and that company is Sheriko, and yes, they are our sponsor. Aren't you excited? We have a sponsor now, baby. We talking luxury. Her candles are just divine. They come in the most beautiful vessels, but Sheriko doesn't only make candles. No, sweetie poo-poo. She makes far more than candles. It's a candle and more company. I like to say it's a luxury home goods company. You know what I'm saying? Think like your Crate and Barrels, but even more elevated and smells way better. So Sheriko makes linen sprays, reed diffusers, candles, body oils, and bath soaks. She's going to be introducing plenty of more products as the year goes on, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that we have a sponsor, and I'm going to keep saying it because I'm super freaking excited to have a sponsor for the podcast. So today's episode was brought to you by a Black woman-owned soy wax candle and more company based out of the Bay Area, California, Sheriko. The CEO and founder is Danita Cherie, and y'all need to get into it, okay? ShopSheriko.com. That is www.shopSharico.com. That's our sponsor. Get into it. Back to the episode. And we're back. I had to get me some water. I had to write out my thoughts a little bit more. I had to be like, all right, I'm about to get to the crux of it all and the end of this episode. So I want to make sure I'm leaving you guys with some of the best here. So when you're practicing tantric sex, you need to remember a couple of things. You need to remember to let the intensity build, okay? So gaze into each other's eyes. Gaze into your own eyes. If it's just you, okay, I want you to be looking into a mirror. I want you to be gazing into your own eyes, okay? You are the most attractive being you've ever seen. I know that's right. You the most attractive sexual being you've ever seen. But let the intensity build. Gaze into each other's eyes without blinking for as long as possible. I'm serious. Gaze into each other's eyes without blinking for as long as possible. Trust me. Just trust me. Try it. Just try it. Synchronize your breathing. Back to breath work. Synchronize your breathing so you can try inhaling and exhaling together, or inhaling as your partner exhales, and take turns doing that. Tell your partner what you like. So when they touch and they play with you, literally call out what you're enjoying and ask them to continue, and have your partner do the same, and set an intention for your practice. I mean, get a notebook, get a piece of pen and paper, and write down your intention for your practice. What is it that you want to be more confident about when it comes to the sex? What is it that you want to be more explorative about when it comes to sex? What is it that you want to communicate to your partner that you haven't been able to do yet using your voice when it comes to sex? Maybe you can communicate that through breath, right? Write those things down, set an intention for your practice so that you know where you want to go. Right? You got to have a reason as to why you're doing things. Don't just do things all willy-nilly because what you're going to get back is just willy-nilly. So you and your partner should go into the session knowing what you both want out of it. So every time that you guys have a session, you don't have to be coming with your list of things written down, but you can. You absolutely can, and don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. You are organizing your thoughts, and you are setting an intention for your practice. Being naked is optional. Remember that. Being naked is optional. So you can start the practice clothed, and you can stay clothed the whole time, or you can remove every single inch of fabric on your bodies, or you can declothe throughout the practice, throughout the breathwork exercises. But the key is to do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Okay. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. If y'all want to sit there booty butt crack naked and looking at each other, you do that. That's how I like to do it. Y'all do that. And I like this because I don't engage in the activity of sex, but that doesn't mean I can't engage in the spirituality of sex. So if you are abstinent and abstaining from sex, you can practice tantric sex with your partner, or just people you're dating to build a stronger bond with them, especially if you want to take the relationship to a more serious level. I'm just saying these are the things that I do because I'm not going to engage in the activity of sex until I'm married, but I absolutely can experience and engage in the spirituality of it all to build and develop a deeper emotional an intimate bond with someone, even sexually, although we are not literally engaging in the physicality of sex. Go slow, go slow, go slow. That if it's anything, go slow. A really important part of Tantra is learning to feel and experience everything more deeply. And the way to do that is literally by going slow. Like, do not rush Tantra. Just relax your mind and enjoy every single second of the practice. Explore all of your body. Explore all of your body and explore all of your partner's body. I'm talking about stroke your hands slowly over your partner's body. Let them use their tongue to explore your mouth while they kiss you. Or gently glide their lips up and down your chest. Do the same to them. Do whatever you like. That's why I said, like, really hyper focus on areas of your body. Like, if your tummy is an insecurity of yours, have your partner focus on your tummy. They might think they've been doing that with you sexually. Maybe they haven't, though. Like, really have them, like, speak life into your tummy. Have them really focus on your tummy. If your neck, if your arms. I don't know what they call it, but, you know, a little flappy flap. Like, when I lift my arm up, and I'm a pretty athletic person, but when I lift my arm up, I got that little flappy flap. You know, that little flappy flap of skin right after your underarm. I don't know what they call it. You know, what your bicep is, right? I got me a little muscle, but I got a little flappy flap. And I already, you know, that me and that flappy flap, I be like, oh, I just want this to tone up. But I'm not going to, like, dislike myself over the flappy flap. But I know that when I was engaging in sex, that was something that I was uncomfortable with because I was like, oh, these little jiggly bits. And then when I started practicing this with people that I was dating and people that I was engaging in the physicality and the activity of sex with, I started to become, like, less and less uncomfortable with my little flappy flap, to where now I'm like, whatever, it jiggles and baby, it's cute. That's what I know it is. So focus. Like, just focus on those parts of your body that you are extremely confident in, but that you also are not that confident in, and explore them. Figure out what causes arousals in those parts of your body. What is your arm like during sex? I know that might sound funny, but, like, what does your arm like? How do your arms like to be? How do your legs like to be? How do your feet like to be? What do your ankles like to do? Okay, what do your fingers like to do? What do your ears like to do? What does your nose like to do? What do your eyes like to do? Right? What does every party like to do? What does your back like to do? What does your butt like to do? I'm very, very serious. What do all of these parts of your body like to do, and what arouses them? You need to be exploring that with yourself, but also with your partner and in a partnership, and make it an activity. Make it beautiful. just make it beautiful, because you don't have to go full tantra. Like, you can add elements of what y'all are already doing. So that can mean incorporating meditation into your foreplay, or just focusing during deep breathing for, like, a solo session with yourself, and you're just exploring yourself and figuring things out. So we're going to go through a couple of techniques on how to synchronize your breath, because your breath is central to any tantric practice. Breathing allows you to free your mind, connect with your body, and feel every sensation more fully. So when you practice any of these techniques, remember to always sit up straight in a comfortable position. First, we have the stimulating breath. This technique can help raise your energy and increase awareness. this is what you're going to do. You're going to close your eyes and soften your belly. You're going to inhale and exhale quickly through your nose, keeping your mouth closed. So try 3 in and out breaths per second for 15 seconds. Breathe normally after the cycle ends, then try again for 20 seconds, increasing by 5 seconds until you reach 1 full minute. You can also try the 4-7-8 breath. Now, this technique can help you raise tension and relax your body. Once again, this technique can help you release tension and relax your body. You can try this technique while sitting across from your partner, synchronizing your breath. Remember, when doing these techniques, sit up straight and in a comfortable position. Exhale through your mouth and then close your mouth. Inhale quietly through your nose to a mental count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale through your mouth completely to the count of 8. Repeat this cycle 3 more times for a total of 4 breaths. That's the 4-7-8 breath technique. You can also try the counting breath. So this is another form of meditation that allows you to clear your mind, find your center, and connect to your body. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Let your breath flow naturally. Inhale and then count 1 to yourself as you exhale. On the next exhale, count 2. Work your way up to 5. Repeat the cycle starting at 1 and ending on 5. But don't go past 5. Otherwise, your mind and attention will begin to wander. Try counting your breath for 10 minutes. These are just 3 really quick synchronizing breath practices that you can do alone or with your partner. Hey listeners, today's video is brought to you by Sharico. That's right, we have a sponsor. Sharico is a soy wax-based candle and more company based out of the Bay Area, California. Founded by Danita Cherie, Sharico brings you the best of luxury soy wax candles and more. She makes reed diffusers, linen sprays, body oils, bath products, and honestly, you are going to want everything she makes in your home. I met the founder and CEO on Twitter in the end, I want to say, towards like the end of 2019, start of 2020. Interviewed her for a podcast, and here we are today. Danita is an amazing, amazing young woman who is building this company right out of her home. Please make sure that you tap in and shop with Sharico. You can purchase everything that I've mentioned here, from candles to body oil to linen sprays to reed diffusers to bath goods at shopsharico.com. That's www.shopsharico.com. Shopsharico.com. Okay, it's just self-care in a luxe way. That's our sponsor, and I'm so excited. Can y'all tell? I am geeked to have a sponsor. Shop Sharico. You won't regret it. Self-care in a luxe way. If you are interested in learning even more about tantric sex, because I've given you a extremely brief snapshot and overview, I would suggest that you tap in with Amina Patterson, Amina Peterson, Peterson. Amina Peterson is the founder of Fearless Giving Atlanta Tantra, formerly the Hawaii-based Tantra in Paradise, and the host of the Fix Your Sex podcast. She is a healer, sexual doula, intimacy coach, massage therapist, tantric sex educator, sacred sex worker, sexual revolutionary, and activist. Amina works to connect community, spirituality, and sexuality in Atlanta and Honolulu, Hawaii, and is the lead organizer of the Atlanta Tantra Festival. Amina Peterson is someone absolutely, amazing in what she does. When I say expert, she is an expert, and she is definitely someone that you need to be tapping in with. There is a website, atlantrafest.com. That's ATLTANTRAFEST.com. atlantrafest.com. So basically atltantrafest.com. Amina is amazing. Please tap in with her. Follow her on all social media platforms. She is someone that you need to know when it comes to tantric sex, especially if you are a young Black woman like me, because she is a Black woman. And I think it's important that we look to be educated by those who may have shared life experiences of ours. I hope today's episode was enjoyable. I hope I provided you guys with some insight. I hope it was informative. I hope it was educational. I hope you were Googling while you were listening. And I really hope that you tap in with Amina Peterson. And also listen to the Fix Your Sex podcast. It's really good. I'm Winter. I'm your host. And this has been While We Wait, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy, episode 1 of what? Season 2. Our season is sponsored. Yeah. Our season is fully sponsored by Shiriko. So tap in with Shiriko because it's self-care in a luxe way, soy wax, candles, and more. Shop at www.shopsharico.com. That's www.shopsharico.com. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of While We Wait, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy. I am your host, Winter. Make sure that you leave us a 5-star review and make sure that you are sharing the podcast with your friends, family, co-workers, just people walking down the street. I mean, whoever. Just let people know that this podcast exists. I'm so glad that you sat down and listened to what I had to share today. This podcast is really truly a labor of love, and I appreciate every single one of you who listens. Make sure you check the show notes to know how you can further support the podcast by donating, sharing, sending in emails about topics you would like to hear and content you would like to see me create on the podcast. I'm just super excited. Here we are once again, another year, 2021, season 2, and we're sponsored by a Black woman soy wax candle company, Shiriko. We're doing it! So thank you for listening, and make sure you check out our sponsor for the entire season, Shiriko. That's www.shopsharico.com. That is shopsharico.com. It's self-care in a luxe way.